Well, good evening everybody. How's it going? Hope you're having a super Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. Bit of a different stream, this one today I've got for you. Let's bring up X-Plane, see if we can see it. Who have we got in the chat here? We've got Totorico, good to see you. Hope you're having a productive day today. Pilsnerish, surprise, surprise, good to see you again. Just here for some VATSim entertainment, huh? And Le Capitano, hey, how's it going? Winston, great to see you. Hope you're having a super day as well. Glad you got the domestic chores sorted out so you can join us on the stream. Pom, hey, good to see you. And Amy, awesome, nice to see you here as well. Thanks for testing the little helicopter mod, Amy. Really appreciate it. So this is the subject of the video. It's Sud-Ouest Djinn Helicopter. It's an odd little thing. The whole of the Discord is here. Yeah, exactly. It's a weird aircraft. It doesn't have a conventional drive system. It only powers the rotors using these little tip jets up here. These little jets on the end of the rotor blades are what power the helicopter. So you can see on the main system here, there's no drive shaft connecting the engine to the helicopter. It all just spins around using the exhaust from this. And this engine's called a Pelust, I think it is. It's what's used in ground power turbines and gas generators. So it principally provides compressed air for the rotor head. And on the back of the engine here is a little starter motor called Lavalette, I believe. It's like a 49cc, almost like a single cylinder lawnmower moped engine, and that's used to start up the Pelust. So there's no battery on board the aircraft. That's part of what makes it really interesting. It's a freeware model. Yeah, they're cold, that's right. It's from the yeah, I think it's from the compressor rather than from the turbine stage. I don't really know much about the mechanics of the Pelust. I've not done much investigation into it. My interest in this aircraft really started from downloading it just for something a little bit fun, something to play around with and explore the scenery with a bit better view than general aviation aircraft. And it's kind of snowballed from there. The fact it's got this interesting startup system is really what drew me to it. But the developer did a really good job on implementing it. It's actually implemented in the model using a coaxial rotor head to remove that torque. So in PlaneMaker you've got two rotors, two rotor systems, one going each way. And that was working quite well. I found that the start system wasn't working every time for me, and also the tail control, because there's no torque, the tail control is done just by deflecting the exhaust gas using this rudder, just deflecting the exhaust from the gas generator. And I found that the rotor system, they put a invisible tail rotor on it, but because there's no torque from the main system, the tail rotor was driving one way and not the other, or driving well one way and kind of not working well the other way, if that makes any sense. So I started recoding it a little bit, just to tidy up the script, or to make the script different. I wouldn't say it's necessarily tidier, but things snowballed and I put this little UE on it as well. I provided a fuel tank for the starter motor. If you'll have a look on the outside again, and let me just go into the correct view. I don't have a binding for this. Right along, that's what we want. On the outside, this is the main fuel tank. This is the turbine fuel in the bottom here. I think that's the oil tank for the gas generator. And up here is the little gasoline tank for the starter motor. So the starter motor runs on gas rather than turbine fuel. So I put a little extra fuel tank on it there. Let me just allow that. Yeah, it's an interesting design for sure, Tosrico. No, I think it would get quite dirty. The thing is though, I mean, the engine isn't designed to provide thrust, it's designed to provide compressed air, so maybe the leftovers are quite marginal. But yeah, it's interesting. So I put this system on it here. It allows you to adjust the fuel on here. It gives you some readouts to help you with VFR nav, and it's got a comm and a transponder so you can fly it online, which really is the function of what we're going to do today. Can everybody hear me okay? Does it sound okay? There's no sim audio obviously at the moment. So what we'll do is fire the aircraft up. I'll bring the UE up so you can see what happens. So the Lavalette is the starter, and the Palouse is the main gen, and this is the fuel selector for the main power plant here. So if I just fire it up, see the Lavalette goes into start mode. You can see the flywheel spinning on the back here as it turns the Palouse. And as it spins up, it engages the drive. You can see the Palouse winds up, and oh, I forgot to put the fuel on. Let's put the fuel in, and up it comes. And the rotor spins up. So one of the things I've done is put a automatic disconnect on the Lavalette, because there isn't a mechanism built into the 3D model at the moment to do that. So you can stop it here, but it stops automatically just to make it easier. And that really is the aircraft up and running. So it's just a little bit different. You can see that it's used a little bit of gas from the starter motor here. And one of the things I want to do is to make this persistent across the liveries, persistent across the sim sessions and the livery. So at the moment I've only given it 2 minutes just so you can see the gauge move, and to be honest 2 or 3 starts are all you're really going to do with it. But there's probably a lot more fuel. It will run for about 10-15 minutes I think. So if I can make this setting persistent across sessions, then that'll be pretty useful to have. But most importantly, we can set the transponder to alt and the comms ready to go. I did put a little radio in the panel here, but that looked a little bit ugly, so instead I came up with this thing here. Right, so let's have a look at what we're going to do. Most importantly, we're at Deanland airfield here, simply because it's quite close to Gatwick. We're going to fly up towards Gatwick, hopefully get a zone transit across, and then we'll go up to Buckland Reservoir, waypoint 2, on towards Banstead, and then we'll fly the London heli route, which takes us up basically up here underneath the Heathrow approach, down the river, and then landing at London heliport or Battersea heliport. Oh, that makes sense. That sound good to everybody? It is a really nice looking little thing. I've had a lot of fun with it, and I think that's why I've been playing with it a bit more as well. Just, you know, modifying it. I've sent my mod over to the developer and he seems quite happy with it, so hopefully the mods will be released in the not too distant future. Alright, do I have Xpilot connected? That is the question. It looks like it is. Yeah, we're on. Does anybody have VATSim map? Can you see the aircraft on VATSim? Before I launch off, because obviously once I'm flying we are kind of stuck. Hey Sandpatch, good to see you. I think I've got aircraft labels switched on. Right. Let's go. So there's no torque really in this aircraft, but I've had to allow a little bit of torque for the purposes of putting the gyro effect in as well. We'll talk about that when we get airborne. I'll just look up the code for you, Toto. It's Echo Golf Kilo Lima for Deanland. Yeah, that's me, Winston. Golf Delta Juliet India November. Alright, shall we get airborne and see how it goes? So it's sitting a little bit nose down on the ground, or the rotor head's providing some forward thrust. We're going to lift it up onto the tail of the skids first and then get airborne. And as I said, I'm just a twist grip joystick helicopter pilot, so this is one of the few that I can actually fly. So nose comes up and we'll just lift it into the hover. Yeah, off we go. There's that torque. And I'll try and keep it roughly in the hover taxi altitude. So basically I don't want to be too high that if I have a loss of power I can't recover to the ground safely. So you wouldn't climb vertically as I understand it on a helicopter, you'd want to have a little bit of speed as well. So if we enter the runway just to give us a running start, and what I'm going to do is just lower the nose, keep the power setting the same, and as the aircraft accelerates we should enter translational lift, and then off we go. So sitting on the ground, let me just get it up, here we go. So I'll lower the nose, and without increasing the power, obviously the airspeed builds, and as we get translational lift, we climb away. So I can actually reduce the power ever so slightly now. And we are underway. And that's pretty much it for the torque. There's just that little bit of torque on the ground with a high power setting and no airflow over the tail. Off we go. Let's point it roughly in the direction of Gatwick. We'll climb up to about 1800 feet or so. It's got trims as well, which makes it really quite easy to fly for airplane pilots. Trims on the pitch as part of the helicopter, and it still has aileron and roll and yaw trim enabled, just to make it easier for simple joystick pilots. Hey, the VATSim, good to see you. Hope you're having a good day. I would never have guessed that, Pilsner. It's good fun. This one's really straightforward. There's a couple of little differences compared to, well, it's really just physics, I guess. So we've got a slight gyro effect, okay, and that's a function of the rotor above the aircraft. If I lower the nose, it will roll as well, and if I pitch up, it will roll the other way. And you can kind of just see that as a slight left movement and a slight right movement. That's about all I could get away with. If I put any more weight on the rotor head, it will essentially put too much torque, and you'll end up with torque reactions as well. I wish Avatar would remember where it was when you pop it up. So this is basically why I put those parameters on the display here. I also need to adjust that little red line there, that's annoying. But these parameters, I've got track and ground speed, and on the little nav map thing, all I've got is the track of 320 degrees. So with the combination of the track there and the track here, you can do VFR nav without really having to worry about it much. It's dead straightforward. That's how you fly little airplanes for real. You get an iPad and it gives you track ground speed, and you keep the aircraft on the little yellow line. Yeah, there's also, Toto, I don't know much about helicopter operations. There's something like Class A or Class 1 performance, I think they call it, where they climb, and as they're departing an area, they climb backwards so they can lower the nose and auto-rotate forwards into the same departure airfield or the same departure site. I don't know if that's how they all work. I don't know anything about helicopters really, other than I have fun with them in the sim. And this is us. We are, I guess we're in East Sussex at the moment. We've got Brighton down there. We've probably got Lewes beforehand. So that'll be Lewes, and Brighton. You can just about see Shoreham out there. And let me just lift the nose. It is quite sensitive on the speed as well. It's quite easy to go too fast. So the other thing, if you're new to helicopters, and again, this is just my experience in the sim, is as I reduce the power setting on the collective, the nose drops, and I increase the power setting, the nose comes up. So it's almost a case of you set the power setting for the rate of climb and descent that you want, and then you adjust the pitch, and then you trim it for the pitch. So everything is constantly on the move with helicopters. But the great thing about this little one is you don't have torque effects once you're moving, because there's no mechanical drive up to the rotor head. That's why I quite like it. It's really just for going to have a look at the scenery more than anything else. But I did think it would be fun to try it on VATSim as well. So controlled airspace on this route, that red area ahead of us, that's the London Class A airspace. That starts at 2,500 feet. So that's not an issue for us at the moment. However, the next one, the blue one, just going through west of Mayfield here towards Cookfield, that's 1,500 feet and above. So I'm going to stay below that. I'm going to drop down to about 1,300. What I want to do is to try and get the Gatwick ATIS while things are fairly sedate. So let me just make sure that it's not going to overspeed if I take my hands off the controls. And it should be 3652. So let's see if this works. I haven't actually tried this stuff at all. Moment of truth.
Acknowledge Acknowledge your receipt of information, Golf.
Oh, that's a good start.
And advise aircraft type on first contact.
I've done auto rotations, Toto. But not from the hover.
Gatwick information, Golf. Time 1850. Runway in use 26 left. Transition level, flight level 75. Surface winds 230. 7 knots. Cab OK. Temperature +7. Dew point +4.
Sweet.
QNH1002. Acknowledge your receipt of information, Golf.
Golf, that'll work. 26825, let's have a listen out. I'm using my own weather. I didn't want the issues with real world weather. So it's Golf and 26 left, we need to know. So down at 1400 feet, that should keep us below the blue shelf coming up. Advise aircraft type on first contact.
Mike Hotel 01, turn left heading 060 degrees.
Turn left 060 degrees for Mike Hotel 01.
Mike Hotel 01, continue to 060, contact Gatwick Director, course on only 118.905.
118.905 with call sign only, Mike Hotel 01.
Awesome. So we're at 1400 feet. Probably want to call them when I'm about 5 minutes from the zone boundary, so should work out. I reckon that will be just about when we go under the higher shelf.
Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha at flight level 90. Speedbird 45 at Mike Alpha Gatwick, roger. It's landing 26 left, no delay, descend, maintain speed 220 knots. Maintain speed 220.
Can everybody hear the VATSim audio okay on the stream, yeah? Awesome.
Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha, turn right heading 335.
So where are we just
Speedbird
now?
45 Mike Alpha, you keep
We
disconnecting
are.
from the network. We cannot vect you into a busy airport if you keep disconnecting. Squawk 3566.
Oh dear. It's all good fun, isn't it? There's Burgess Hill over there.
Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Martin.
Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
So I'm just trying to listen
You
out what's
can't
going
keep
on.
disconnecting.
Great. Well, hopefully they got the flight plan. I'm probably going to drop down to 1300 feet. So Gatwick's in a little bit of a valley.
45 Mike Alpha, descend to altitude 4,000 feet.
We've got some terrain to the south of it and terrain at the north. So we're going to try and squeak in over the terrain at the southern side, and then we'll see what altitude they want us to transit at, if they allow it. If they don't allow a transit, we'll simply stay at 1400 feet and we'll trundle out this way. We'll probably go a bit further east, and then we can climb back up to around about 2000 feet outside this area here. And that should allow us just to wander around by ourselves. And you can see the flight plan. Excellent. It wasn't a very detailed flight plan, Toto. It was just this is roughly where I want to go. I think that's the thing that you want to know.
Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha, turn left heading 325. Turn left heading 325, Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha. Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha, contact Gatwick Director with a call sign only 118.905. 118.905, call sign only, Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
Gatwick, good evening, EC58 Whiskey Zulu.
EC58 Whiskey Zulu, Gatwick's landing 26 left, no delay information, Oscar descend, flight level 80.
Descend level 80, Oscar, we have EC58 Whiskey Zulu.
And EC58 Whiskey Zulu, turn right heading 360 degrees.
Right, turn heading 360.
We need to slow down on the delivery on
And
the
EC58
radio.
Whiskey Zulu, speed 220 knots.
That's better.
220 knots, 5 Whiskey Zulu.
Right, how's my altitude? It's alright. Right, here we go. Gatwick Director, good evening. It's Helicopter Golf Delta Juliet India November for zone crossing south to north.
Golf Delta Juliet India November, take your request to 118.950.
118950 Golf India November, bye now. Well, okay, let's do it that way.
Established, descend on the glide path, Mike Hotel 01.
Gatwick Director, good evening. Helicopter Golf Delta Juliet India November for zone crossing south to north.
Scoot 45 Mike Alpha, speed 180 knots.
Speed 180 knots, Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
The last station call and say you call sounding again.
Gatwick Director, hello, it's Helicopter Golf Delta Juliet India November for zone crossing.
Speed 45 Mike Alpha, turn left heading 280 degrees, descend to altitude 3,000 feet.
The previous guy heard me okay.
Turning left heading 280 degrees and descending to 3,000 feet.
We've got about 4 minutes.
Mike Alpha.
Helicopter Golf Delta Juliet India November, Gatwick Director, good evening, pass your message.
Helicopter Golf Delta Juliet India November, single engine turbine helicopter out of Deanland routing towards Battersea heliport, looking for a zone crossing not above 1500 feet. We've got your information Golf and copy runway 26 left in use.
Golf India November, Roger, Squawk 3750.
Squawk 3750, Golf India November. 3750. There we go. Should probably put it to standby first.
On that heading when established on the localizer 26 left, descend with the glide
So,
path.
we don't have a clearance into controlled airspace just yet. He's going to hopefully radar identify us now.
Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
Speed 45 Mike Alpha, speed 180 knots.
Speed 180 knots, Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
Gatwick Director, EC58 Whiskey Zulu.
5 Whiskey Zulu, Gatwick, hello, turn left head
I put fuel burn and endurance on the engine here as well, just to keep an eye on it.
86 1 X-ray room, you contact the tower call, send only 124.225.
Tower 124.225 with the call sign, 61 X-ray Romeo, Advisor.
Mike Hotel 01, speed 160
I'm
knots,
sure
maintain
we're
to 40
near
ME.
Tully's farm in this part of the road. That's probably the Bluebell Railway down there. Yeah, that's the Bluebell Railway.
Golf India November, to report your aircraft type and your altitude.
Golf India November. We're a single engine turbine helicopter type Delta Juliet India November. Our altitude is 1,400 feet on user QNH 1013.
Golf India November, thank you. Basic service. Remain outside controlled airspace. Gatwick QNH 1002.
Remain outside and 1002 and basic service. Golf India November. Well, we may not get a crossing then. Let's see how it works. We'll keep tracking towards. I really want to go around the east side, but if I put myself slightly to the west, that may give us some more options. Yeah, it's pretty slow, to be honest. It's not the fastest aircraft in the world. That's what I like about it. So the problem with the crossing for runway 26 is if I go around to the east, I'm never going to get a shortcut across because I'm crossing the approach path. But if I go to the west, I may get something that I want. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, I've been there a few times, Phils, and it's good fun. Quite expensive now. Just going to watch the outputs here.
Golf Delta Juliet India November, clear to enter the Gatwick control zone from the south, not above altitude 1,500 feet, VFR, the QNH is 1022.
Thank you, QNH 1022, clear to enter controlled airspace from the south, not above 1,500, Golf India November.
Golf India November, that's correct, and apologies, your QNH is 1002, your clearance limit will be the southern maintenance area at Gatwick, report visual with Gatwick.
Okay, QNH 1002 and we'll hold over the maintenance area. Wilco, Golf India November.
Director, top Swiss traffic, Delta Alpha.
So it's going to work. We can enter controlled airspace now. Just want to watch my altitude. Not above 1500 is good. So that's Gatwick ahead, but we'll try and stick with the spirit of the thing and not call visual from 50 miles back because I've got my sim viz set something different.
And on the localizer, the glide path, you have to do.
Golf India November, entering controlled airspace, radar control service.
Control service, Golf India November.
Speedbird 45, Mike Alpha, contact Gatwick.
Yeah, Post, it's not too bad.
124.225.
Standard phraseology is kind of working out.
124.225.
I mean, doing this in real life is fairly straightforward. I usually do it 120 knots, not at, 52 knots. Yeah, he still needs us to call visual, Toto. I'm just holding off on that until I've actually got the ability to determine different features on the ground. I can see Gatwick ahead of us, but I think that's really more of the fact that X-Plane's making it easy for me, if that makes sense. See if we can see other aircraft. Ooh, I've got labels turned on. There's a button for that. That one there. Yeah, that'll do.
Swiss 58 Delta Alpha, descent to altitude 3,000 feet.
So a bit less interaction on the chat today, folks, as I'm kind of concentrating on what's going on. This is the kind of thing I'd have the intercom muted for if my daughter was in the back as well. And Golf India November has the field in sight. Okay. This is the M23 coming up on the left hand side. I think this below us is some kind of private school, and Tully's farm is round about here. They do like a Halloween sort of thing, which is quite interesting. And this is Crawley ahead of us. I guess there's 3 bridges and
Easy 5 Whiskey Zulu, speed 160 knots, maintain to 40 at me.
Speed 160 knots, maintain to 40 meters.
Golf India, correction, Golf India November, hold at the southern maintenance area and contact the tower course on only 124225.
hold at the maintenance area, tower 124225, Golf India November. Thanks for your help.
Top Swiss 58.
24225. Alright, not busting my altitude clearance, that's fine. Gatwick Tower, good evening. Helicopter Golf Delta Juliet India November. Thanks Mattiam, thanks for joining us. You'll be able to catch the rest of it on video on demand.
Mike Hotel 01, turn left heading 200 degrees, climb altitude 2,000 feet.
The map, Le Capitano, that's from
climb 2,000 feet.
Little Nav Map, made that for me.
Mike Hotel 01, actually you've climbed past that. Turn left heading 200
Right, so what I'm looking
degrees,
for is the southern maintenance area, which are the big hangars on the south side.
Climb altitude 3,000 feet and turn left
There's an aircraft up
200.
there, it's pretty cool.
Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha, runway 26 left, clear to land.
I may have to hover out of ground effect. If we do that, I'd probably actually fly orbits rather than hovering out of ground effect with this thing.
Helicopter Golf India November, Gatwick Tower, hello. Your clearance limit is the south maintenance area.
A firm Golf India November.
Surgeon 5 with you.
I've already been told that. Kind of, that would be coordinated, I guess.
Gatwick Tower, easy 58 Whiskey Zulu.
I'm going to turn off those labels. Where's my
Aircraft
button?
calling second.
Easy 58 Whiskey Zulu.
C58 Whiskey Zulu, Gatwick Tower, hello. Continue
So here's the
runway 26
maintenance
left.
area here. And
Mike Hotel
also,
01, contact Gary direct
somewhere around about
1895. Good
here.
evening.
11895 for Mike Hotel 01.
Oh, it's just on the this
Easy 91
this
Delta
building
Bravo,
here is the
behind you, riding
UK Civil
British
Aviation
Airways,
Authority. These are the regulators of aviation in the UK.
We handle any traffic via Alpha 1.
Let me put those labels back on, see if anybody's on approach.
Skyways 1342, if you're still here, London Control 134125.
Oh, there's 45 Mike Alpha getting airborne.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the service.
Golf India November, traffic information is an EasyJet AC-20 on a 5-mile final. Reporting back.
And Golf India November looking.
Good evening, Cathay 354.
Roger. Spirit 45 Mike Alpha, welcome to Gatwick. Vacate right, contact the ground 1218. Good evening.
I thought he was taking off. Why was his nose so far up there?
Taking right, then contacting ground. Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
Where's this aircraft on the finals? Well, let's back the speed off a little bit.
Correction, Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha. You are able to taxi at more than 30 knots on the runway. Please do so.
Yeah, don't slow down on the runway, guys.
Vacated runway 26 left. Speedbird 45 Mike Alpha.
Don't need to call it.
Easy 91 Delta Bravo,
We've got a
runway
window.
26 left, clear for takeoff, wind 230 at 7.
Clear takeoff, runway 26 left, easy 91 Delta Bravo.
Easy 58 Whiskey Zulu, traffic information is a helicopter orbiting south of the runway, reporting sight.
Hey, I'm not orbiting.
Roger, and 2 Golf Alpha Whiskey Zulu. Tower, top 65 at Delta Alpha.
Roger.
And Golf India November has the landing traffic in sight.
Golf India November, thank you. Above and behind this traffic, cross the runway 26 left, threshold not above, correction, not below, altitude 800 feet.
Okay, behind and above the landing aircraft cross the 26 left threshold, not below 800 feet, Golf India November. Well, this is turning out fairly straightforward.
Hello, Alitalia 1 Romeo 1.
This is the EasyJet
holding point
aircraft.
Alpha 3.
So wait, do we get vis ident on them?
T58 Whiskey Zulu, runway 26 left, clear to land, winds 230 at 7.
Watch me generate a TCAS event for this guy. I would not be popular.
Cathay 35.
We're still well over the maintenance area.
Yeah, Alpha 1, line up away to 26 left, behind the landing,
Alright.
EasyJet 320.
Here we go, best forward speed, little helicopter. Go power.
Jet 320, Cathay 354.
I'm going to wind it up to about
Easy
70
91
knots.
Delta Bravo, contact landing control, frequency 120525. Good evening.
Go, go, go.
1305.
It's busy down there, isn't it?
91 Delta Bravo. Thank you, bye bye.
Alright. Do you like the fact I put night mode on the GUI there, guys? That's pretty good. Automatic.
Speedbird 33 Whiskey.
Speedbird 33 Whiskey.
So just traded some height to allow the aircraft to accelerate and cross over, and here we are. We are comfortably north of the runway. You'll be dying.
58 Whiskey Zulu, welcome to Gatwick, vacate right, contact the ground 1218. Good
Fairly
evening.
straightforward, huh?
Vacating right, ground 128. Goodbye, EC5 Whiskey Zulu.
I might make 70. I don't like the yellow line.
Searching 5 with you,
makes me
holding
nervous.
Alpha 2. Right.
Right, I just want to make sure I don't fly into Red Hills zone. Red Hills just north of Gatwick. So I'm going to fly towards Buckland Reservoir, which you can see at the front. If I go to Buckland, that'll keep me clear of Red Hill. Again, I don't know, we've still got to get into London.
At 7, continue approach 26 left.
Continue, top 65 at Delta Alpha.
Let's see what this guy hands me off to.
Virgin 5 behind the landing, EasyJet 319
Right,
via
well, that's happening.
Wait to 26 left behind.
I'm going to see if I can find an ATIS frequency online for
Behind the landing, EasyJet A319, line from wait 26 left behind
ATIS.
via Alpha 1, Virgin 5.
28075, that'll work. I've only got one radio, so that makes it a bit fun.
Tower, EC89 Tango Hotel.
Has everybody enjoying it so far? The little helicopter is super fun. I really enjoy it. I don't know why. It's very simple, but it just makes me happy. I like aircraft that make me happy.
25 at Delta Alpha. 35 for EC70 Ross Foxtrot.
Roger. Cathay
On towards
354,
Heathrow.
contact landing control, frequency 120525. Good evening.
12055, Cathay 355, good evening.
I don't like flying when it's dark, so I've used 7 o'clock in the morning rather than 7 o'clock in the evening.
Hold Alpha 1.
Just so the times all still match up.
Hold Alpha 1, easy 45 Papa Golf. Top Swiss 58 Delta.
I'm in the
Alpha
yellow
1,
band now.
Gatwick,
There you go,
vacate
Winston.
right, Ground 1218, good evening.
218, top 65 at Delta Alpha, bye.
Golf India November, contact Gatwick Director 118905, good evening.
118950, Golf India November, thanks for the crossing. 118950.
Golf Delta Juliet into November, you're on frequency.
Director, hello again. Just handed over from Tower. It's Helicopter Golf India November, routing out the zone via the Buckland VRP.
Golf Delta Juliet into November, thanks. Clear to leave Gatwick control zone to the north, not above 1,500 feet VFR.
Leaving to north, not above 1,500. Golf India November.
Easy 61 X-ray, remain turn left at 305.
Hey Yearning, good to see you on the stream.
61 X-ray.
Something a bit different this
Golf
evening.
India November, leaving control airspace basic service, report change of frequency.
Golf India November, no service required, thanks very much. We'll squawk 7000s and change en route.
Golf India November, roger, my service terminates, squawk security, bye bye.
Thanks for your help, bye now. Right, oh, let's do this. Right, let's do some aviating and then we can do some navigating and communicating in just a second. I need to find the frequency because I've forgotten it again. It was 128075. There's Buckland VRPA right ahead of us. 128075. Not that this really matters because I'm on my own weather, but you know, I'll play the game.
10 knots. Visibility 10. Kilometers or more, no cloud detected. Temperature +8. Dew point +3. QNH 1002. Acknowledge a receipt of information, Oscar, and report aircraft type at current QNH on first contact with Heathrow.
Oscar, that was 119.
Heathrow information, Oscar.
This is the thing that
Time
annoys me.
1850.
119725. I'm going to fly into something heads down here. 119725. Lots of scrolling on the 833 radios. That's why I had to do scroll wheel support. Alright. No, this is just ex-Europe, I think, the Capitano. It's not Orbex. I don't have a machine that could run Orbex, I don't think. Alright, let's just leave this frequency dialed up for a second, see if we can hear MD. We don't really need to do anything until we get up here, see where the top of descent is marked. That's roughly the entry into the London heli lanes. What's interesting is at this position here, we could... Go away, stupid thing. At this location here, we could be flying along at 2,400 feet. We're right in the middle of Gatwick and Heathrow, and yet we could be happily flying here as we are, not really speaking to MD. It's quite interesting. I just turned labels on and off. I had to bind everything to my joystick because, you know, you need your hands on the stick for the joystick. So I'm going to climb up to 2,000 feet. Now we're clear of the controlled airspace. Yep, Box Hill is over there, Pilsner, and we've got the M25 and Reigate Hill there. So Dorking is down there.
Speedbird 6690 is inbound Ockham, flight level 90.
It's very common to see light aircraft routing along the M25 in this part of the world.
Speedbird 669, Heathrow Director, hello, descend, flight level 80.
And you've obviously got Biggin Hill, which, if everything goes to plan, we'll be flying the TBM out of Biggin Hill on Friday.
Speedbird 669.
Alright, so I can pretty much see the heliport already. I'm climbing up to 2,000 feet to enter. Just before I do that, let me just change my little map here, and we'll go for the official chart. I've not done a very good job of tying it to the Mercator thing, so it doesn't really work great, but you can see where we're going. Right, let me give Heathrow a call and see how this works. I really don't know what to expect with this bit. Heathrow Director, good evening. It's Helicopter Golf Delta Juliet India November for a helicopter route entry. Should have thought about what I was going to say before I keyed the mic.
Golf Delta Juliet India November, Heathrow Director, hello, just... Why are you not showing a flight? Give me 1 minute.
Okay. Hey John.
Golf India November, Heathrow Director, hello, Squawk 7075.
Squawk 7075, Golf India November. So again, the squawk doesn't give us clearance to enter.
Golf Delta Juliet India November, thanks, identified you could enter Heathrow controlled airspace via Barnstead, routing H9 northbound, standard operating altitudes, QNH 1002.
QNH 1002, and clear to enter via Barnstead. Confirm it was the Hotel 7 route rather than Hotel 9 to expect India November.
Apologies, Hotel 7 northbound.
Thank you, Hotel 7 northbound, standard altitudes for Golf India November. Sweet.
India November, correct, report Barnes.
Report Barnes, Wilco, India November. Well, I should probably look at the map and find out where Barnes is. Let me just have a look at my paper version here, because that's going to be easier. Excuse me fiddling around in the background. Oh, I know where Barnes is. It's on the river. Silly. That was obvious. Hope you're enjoying the stream so far, Jono. So, the standard altitudes, they're printed on the chart here. So, Hotel 7, 2000, Morden, 2000, Caesar's Camp, 1500, Roehampton, and then down towards 1500 at Barnes. And the London heliport's got this weird vertical circuit that the base leg and the upwind and downwind are all stacked on top of each other, which makes it fairly interesting to fly. And you can actually do this in an R22. You can't do this route at night in an R22 because it's single engine, but in daytime the route kind of island hops between various parts of green over South London, so that in the event of an engine failure you can still get somewhere safe. And you can fly single engine down the river, because Battersea heliport was basically made a thing when the Jet Ranger was still the helicopter of choice for commuting. So although single engine piston are banned over lots of London and are de facto banned by the land clear requirement, it's fairly easy for helicopters to do it.
Flight level 4000.
Yeah, that's, I think it's Banstead Golf Course, Pilsen.
H1002, speedboat 669.
We've got Coulsdon on the right hand side there, and I can't remember the name of the hills, which is quite embarrassing. I should know the name of the hills. So because we're single engine, we can't kind of shortcut it. Okay, if I was a multi-engine helicopter, I could get clearance to operate in this segment here, but because we're single engine, I've got to stay on the Hotel 7 route. So he's going to tell us entering controlled airspace in just a second, and it should be a radar service. So I'm trying to just kind of stay over the little bits of green. If I bring this up here, I don't want to put it there so it obstructs your view.
Golf India November entering controlled airspace, radar control.
Control service, thank you, Golf India November. Excellent, on the case. So I'm on the track. I'm not to the left of the track, as you can see down here. That's just my rather nasty Avatab skills that have screwed that up a little bit. But we're now looking for Morden, and it's basically just a case of looking for the next bit of green. So this is probably Morden here. Just ask this guy a question just in a second. Heathrow Golf India November request.
Golf India November, pass your message.
Golf India November. Are any of the Thames radar units online this evening? We're looking for a scenic flight as far east along the river as Tower Bridge.
We don't have Thames online though. There are some TC sectors, but I cover all the helicopter operations for now.
Excellent, thank you very much. We'll stay with you throughout the river then. Golf India November.
Roger, once you get to Barnes you can route H for eastbound.
Thank you, H for eastbound on the river from Barnes, Golf India November. Sweet. This is fairly good, isn't it? H4 1500 feet, and that'll take us out towards Chelsea Bridge. Now, what is quite interesting here, this is the really useful thing about this little helicopter, is you can fly it hands off for a little bit. Once it's trimmed out, it's fairly straightforward. So I was talking about the single engine rules and staying
Speedbird 669
on the route here.
360 degrees.
See this pink area here? This is the central London restricted area, but you can't fly single engine over that full stop. It's just not allowed unless you're over the river. That's where the helicopter stuff comes in. But also further up here, there's a central London restricted area. This is the Hyde Park restricted area, but it basically is over the Thames and the Parliament area, and that tops out at 1400 feet. So we've got this route we have to fly at 1500 with a restricted area below at 1400, and we've got London City arrivals at 2000 feet. So we have to be on our toes doing this sort of thing. But so far, what do you think of the helicopter, guys? Do you like it? I like it. It's a bit weird, but it flies really, I think it flies really nicely for a helicopter. It doesn't have that same look away from it for a second and it's going to try and kill you feeling that some other helicopters have.
Spirit 669, turn left heading 300 degrees when localizer established.
Morden, we are Morden, routing towards Caesar's
Turn
camp.
left heading 300 degrees when established on 27 right and 10 big light, speed
1
669.
second. Boom. Just for Pilsner. There we go. So I need to descend down to 1500 feet for the next segment. So I'll just back off the power a little bit, and as I bring the power off, notice how the nose drops. So I'll just hold that up and retrim it. I don't want to be going too steeply downhill, too fast downhill. I want to get down to 1500 feet for the next segment at Caesar's camp. Following the northern line? I don't know. I'm no good with tube maps. I'm the tourist that's always there looking it up on my phone. Right, do I need my map? I'll leave this map up because that's maybe more interesting for you guys. You've seen the helicopter route chart. I'll bring it back when we get to the river. So 1500 feet for Caesar's camp. Okay, I guess somebody's text only, not seen that for a while. Would it make sense to use VATSim QNH? I don't really know. I've got my own weather on here, so I just stick to 1013 and not worry about it. If I put in something else, I'll be flying at a different altitude than what they expect. What I don't know, Winston, is how that gets translated back across to them, because obviously the altitude encoder in the transponder is always referenced to 1013 anyway. I don't think VATSim goes into that much detail on it. Toto might be able to clarify it, but if you're flying on Pilot Edge, you tell Pilot Edge controllers you've got information Zulu, and then they know that you're using your own weather and won't pester you for altimeter settings much. It's fairly straightforward. They'll just tell you when you're changing to flight level. I found that a lot more intuitive, shall we say. So information Zulu is your weather. If you tell them something else, it's their weather you're using, or real world weather. Cool, so I've got the speed back to 65 where it's supposed to be. This is Roehampton coming up, and we're down at 1500 feet. So I'm going to the river, but I'm not going straight across here. I'm going to turn right here, right there, and then Barnes on the right. Let me bring my proper map back again. This one. And there we go.
Speedbird 669, that's fully established.
Spirit 669, thanks, Tower 118.5.
Fully established, not just established, but fully established. That's what we want. I don't want any half established conditions here. And what he means is on the glide slope and the localizer, I guess. Right, Roehampton, we'll make a slight turn. There's an arrival, Speedbird 669er, who's fully established. Nice. This does add some interest to simming. A little bit of unpredictability. He hasn't told 669 about traffic. I'm quite disappointed. I wanted 669 to be able to look down here and see this awesome little helicopter, but it's not happening. Old girlfriend's flat in Roehampton. Not equipped with weapons, I'm afraid, Winston. Yay, Airbus. Excellent. So Battersea heliport is just down there, but we're going to overfly it. So we're cleared on Hotel 4. And Golf India November is overhead Barnes and routing along Hotel 4 eastbound.
Golf India November, roger.
Golf India November, you just clipped out there, say again please.
Golf India November, roger.
Thank you. We'll be routing as far east as Tower Bridge and then returning to Battersea.
Golf India November, roger. You can route east and west as you need and report letting down.
Thank you, free operations, and Wilco, Golf India November. Sweet. Alright, we can just enjoy the view, and he doesn't seem to care much because everything's happening at Gatwick tonight, and Heathrow is quiet. That's how I like it. So let me just turn that map off as well so you can see the scenery as we fly along here. And this is basically X-Europe and X-Plane out of the box with some ortho underneath it. I think it's fairly nice. It looks nice. Quite enjoyable to be able to fly along in a little helicopter. And this is a fairly, you know, real world kind of thing to do. If you're in an R22, this would be allowed, as far as I can work out. Hey, Captain Crash. Good to see you. Thanks for testing the little aircraft. I hope you enjoyed it. I've been having great fun with it. Great fun to the extent of not being able to do a PT-19 video this week because I spent so much time flying this little thing instead. But I hope the stream will make up for that a little bit. That's Battersea Park ahead of us. Can MD see the heliport? Can we see the heliport? Oh, I've lost it. Well, it's down here somewhere. There's the heliport here. Yeah, getting sucked into a project. I don't know, I was coding it. I say coding. I was writing script for about 12 hours the first day I started messing around with this. And this is the result. This is all I have to show for 12 hours. But there was a fair bit of learning curve initially on there. There's Hyde Park ahead of us off the nose of the aircraft with the Serpentine, I think it is. Battersea Park is on the right hand side down there. And you can just about see the London Eye and the Houses of Parliament. Turn then respond. What is that? Okay then. Four hours of coding today. That's not too bad. Does it count as coding, Amy? I'm always a bit dubious about counting writing stuff in Notepad++ that is essentially script as coding. I've been enjoying it. I really want to try and do a life system for the aircraft because I think that would be quite interesting if I can get some kind of persistence going. But my dilemma is I was fairly okay at PHP and Visual Basic and stuff like that back in the day, and we're talking about 15-20 years ago. I was never any good at C. I could just about read it when I tried really hard. Hey Swappy, good to see you. But yeah, I've not been great at writing C. But that being said, I think there's probably more merit in doing projects in C than there is in Lua. So although Sassel has been fairly straightforward or fairly good for rapid prototyping, I would quite like to move over to C and make that work. So here's this restricted area, the Hyde Park restricted area. We're above 1400 feet, below 1500 feet as required by air traffic, above 1400 feet as required by the law. And we've got London City Airport out there on the right hand side, so their arrivals would be only 500 feet above us. And there's the Houses of Parliament down there and the London Eye. Pretty good looking so far, I think. There's Buckingham Palace. We've got, I want to say Green Park and St James's Park. I think. Yeah, probably. And there should be the Telecom Tower as well. Let's see if we can see that. The BT Tower, there we go. Kind of looks roughly like it down there. Yeah, it's pretty good. This would be a fun thing to do for real, I feel. If I had access to an R22 and could actually fly it, this might be fun. Is it X-Europe that's doing the... I don't know where X-Europe starts and X-Plane stops, Pilsner. I thought most of these models were X-Plane, but I don't really know. The Shard is not quite there yet, shall we say. It's a bit average. Yeah, the BT Tower is just a fairly default looking kind of thing. But there's London City Airport. where we'll shortly hopefully be taking a Challenger 650 in there as well. If you ever fly into London City, you get, on an easterly day, you get awesome views over the city. Sit on the right hand side of the aircraft and you'll get awesome views as you turn. Oh yeah, can't wait to film. So I think this is supposed to be the Shard on the right hand side here. We've got Tower Bridge down there, and this will be HMS Belfast. So there's Tower Bridge, either open or closed, we'll see. I think it does have the Gherkin building. Yeah, it's down there. There's the Gherkin. You can see it better going the other way. Right, we'll just track a little bit east of Tower Bridge. We're running off the end of the map. You see it's more accurate up here. I think I need to adjust that Mercator thing a little bit more. Mostly default Toto with X Europe on top of it. I think X Europe looks pretty good. The landmarks are default, Tom. Good to know. So we'd probably have to descend if we were to continue this route because of the city arrivals. London City arrivals above us. So what we'll do is I'll just bring the power off a little bit and I'll slow down because I want to keep the turn as far as possible within the confines of the river. So I'll just bring the speed back momentarily. 40 miles an hour should do it. Just check we're clear on the left. I don't know how it works with helicopters. I would expect MD overtaking to overtake on the right hand side, so turning left should be a fairly safe thing to do. There's Tower Bridge and the Tower of London down there. Keep the turn going, little helicopter. There we go. The dome, good question. I think it's... We'll have a look on Friday because we're going to fly out of Biggin Hill and route northbound. So you should be able to see the dome if we have a look on Friday, Pilsner. There's St Paul's though, you can see St Paul's Cathedral. I just love the fact that this is kind of a fairly... I think this is a fairly legal kind of thing to do. I don't think we're breaking any rules doing this in a little single engine helicopter. I mean obviously the fact that my transponder is self-inflicted is maybe a bit different. The only funky thing I've seen is this building down here seems to have some kind of glitchy behaviour going on. I think there's maybe two models, one inside the other down there. Yeah, there's St Paul's on the right hand side. No more yaw inputs when aerodynamic? I didn't know that. How'd you do it with like a 22 when there's no moving tail surface? I want to climb back up again. Need to be back up above 1400 feet. Anyway, I'm quite happy that the little thing works on VATSim because that was really the goal of starting doing the UI in the first place. No, this is Open Scenery. No, it's not. It's X Europe, Jono. X Europe with some ortho underneath it. So when I got the download for this Toto, it had a simulated tail rotor, and if you weren't careful with it, you could bump the mast with the main rotors, and you could also hit the tail rotor on the ground. So I took the tail rotor off it and moved to VTOL jets for the yaw control because I think that's more realistic for this sort of aircraft. You know, with given how the tail control actually works, I thought the VTOL puffer jets would be a better simulation. But what I want to find is the right balance between the gyro effect and too much torque. The more gyro I get, the more torque effects you have as well. So it's probably a little bit not enough gyro action and too much torque action the way it's implemented. I tried it with coaxial controls as well. X-Plane lets you do coaxial rotor control like you would have on the Kamov designs. But the problem with that is you can do proper Kamov flying, you know, you can fly along at 60 knots sideways because there's so much yaw control. Whereas this little thing, it wouldn't have a chance of doing that. There's no way it would be able to fly sideways at those speeds. No, I'm over the river. Definitely still over the river.
Heading 240 degrees, descend
so there's
5,000
Chelsea Bridge, I think it is. Battersea Park, so the big circuit from Battersea Heliport comes here, and the small circuit starts here.
240 degrees, descend to altitude 5,000 feet, and the QNH 1002, call it DT247.
Yeah, I tried that, Captain Crash. It didn't do it. I even tried putting a propeller on there, constant speed prop and a fixed pitch prop inside the fuse or on the exhaust position to try and generate some airflow. Let me just fix my altitude. Try and generate some airflow over the stab, but it didn't really work, so the puffer jet was the easiest solution to it that didn't cause all sorts of oddities. I tried 2 rotors counter-rotating on the tail. I tried making them symmetrical rather than standard pitch rotors to try and make it have the same amount of authority left and right, but it just wasn't happening. I'd spent about 5 hours on the flight dynamics trying to get it to turn at the same rate left and right, but it just wasn't possible. Not with what I knew about it anyway. So the puffer jets are the solution. And I think it's fairly realistic because it does tend to blend out at higher speeds. Just going to start my descent down to 1,000 feet now that we're clear of the Hyde Park restricted area. And we'll continue the descent. We'll make straight in on runway 20 or landing pad 20 at Battersea. And I'll try and do that without getting into vortex ring state, which X-Plane seems to do really spectacularly well, by my experience. No lights on this aircraft. It does do sling loads though, which is good fun. Maybe a couple of 100 kilos of sling loads. I've not had any issues with it, Jono. That's what, 47 frames a second with this helicopter. Let me just bring up my plugins momentarily. You'll see that it's... I mean, the helicopter's not using much, to be honest. But its frame rates have been fine. I haven't had an issue with X-Europe. Right, I'm going to concentrate on landing it, because there's the heliport down there, and I'm at the point that would be the end of the base leg. We may not be able to get in this way. If necessary, we'll just do an orbit at the far end. If I bring the nose up, get the speed back, I can descend a bit steeper when I'm moving forward. But I want to keep moving at around about 30 or 40 knots until we're at lower levels. I'm going to trim it as well. Yeah, this is going to work out. So we don't go below 500 feet until we are on final approach. There's the helipad there. And we make the approach from mid-channel. I'm going to have to slow it down a little bit. Maybe a go around here, see how it goes. So as the speed comes off, you've got to be careful of that vertical speed increasing. I was trying to feed in some power to stop it descending through its own wash. And Golf India November is letting down Battersea. Thanks very much for the help.
Golf India November, roger, the winds at Heathrow were 250 knots.
Roger, Golf India November. Forgot I was online there for a second. So because we've got skids, I'm not going to actually land on the pad, but we're going to hover taxi in. You can see I've got a little bit of an uphill thing to go there. Obviously if we had wheels we'd just drive on here. Yeah, X-Plane doesn't really know what it's doing with jet wash. I thought it was doing something with prop wash, but it really wasn't helping.
2247 on present heading when localizer established.
Right, let's get this thing onto apron and get shut down.
Cleared ILS 27 right, quality 2247.
Shall we park next to the fuel truck? That seems like living dangerously. Let's see if we can turn it round before we contact the ground. This is always the hardest thing, this close quarter manoeuvring, because you just don't have the same visual cues as you would in reality. Don't hit the fuel truck. Stop the motion. We're down. Lower the nose. Let's have a look outside, make sure we didn't actually hit the fuel truck. Yeah, the rotors are clear. It's not the most, you know, centralised touchdown, but second or third landing at Battersea, that's pretty good. Let's shut it down. I'll just tell them on the radios. And Golf India November's landed at Battersea, shutting down. Thanks so much for your help. Have a good evening.
Golf India November, no problem. Thanks for flying. Bye-bye.
Right, let's set squawk to 7,000. I'll leave it on standby, and we are. That's there. That's there. Job done. What do you think of the helicopter? Does it inspire you to try some helicopter flying for yourself? I've always enjoyed messing around with helicopters. This is the only one that I've flown beyond that Bell 429. This is the only one that I've flown that I can actually get to do what I want it to do. And the Bell, since they took the rudder trim off it, it's almost impossible to fly with a twist grip, because you always have to keep some twist pressure on. It's not quite there for twist grip flying. But this is completely and utterly controllable. It's really easy with a twist stick. It's super fun. I was going to try that Captain Crash. I got this simply because it was the first one that I found. Winston, the updates that I've made to it, the fuel system, the timer on the Lavalette is the thing that really makes a little bit of difference. If you're not going to fly it online, you don't really need the comm and the transponder, and it will start adequately. The issue was, if you download the current version from the .org, the only thing you got to do is open the script and force the script to always turn the APU bleed on, because what they've done, just turn off frequency. What they've done is they'd use this for APU start, which fires up the starter engine. But once you shut it down, the first time you shut it down, X-Plane switches off the APU bleed, and they didn't have anything in the script to switch the APU bleed back on again. And that's pretty much it. It was only when I was digging around the model anyway to try and change the systems on it that I found the tail rotor control issue. The other thing I've done is the Lavalette functions as the APU. There's a battery, because there has to be a battery for X-Plane to allow you to start the APU. The script keeps the battery fully charged, and by doing that I was able to move the battery onto a separate bus so that the generator runs on the engine bus and the battery is not on the engine bus. That means that the lights and so on, they don't come on until the engine comes up to speed, which I thought is kind of what you want. Yeah, I'd really like to see this the flight dynamics improve a little bit more for it, but I'm really stabbing in the dark. I'm just going on what I feel is right for this sort of aircraft. As I said, I'm going to try and have some kind of persistent tracking. If I can get it to log engine hours and starter hours, then that'll let me save the fuel so it doesn't reset the starter fuel on startup. And if I can do that, then I'll also consider, if I can find representative data for the Paloost, I'll see if we can change the parameters on here. If I can't find that, I'll see if we can maybe implement some kind of oil life system that is affected by the ITTs, that sort of thing. But you know, it's really just me messing around to see what we can do with it. I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I hope you enjoyed this short stream. We'll have a longer stream on Friday night, where it's my intention to fly the TBM from Biggin Hill. We'll fly IFR up towards Belfast, but rather than land at Belfast Aldergrove, we'll leave controlled airspace and fly VFR towards Enniskillen out in County, oh I've forgotten, County Fermanagh I think it is, just basically in west part of Northern Ireland. So hopefully that'll be fun as well. I hope you have a super evening. As always, take care, and I'll speak to you again later. Thanks for joining me, guys.